For a market to exist, two players have to be involved, demand and supply. A market is basically any place where a buyer comes to buy goods and services and a seller comes to sell the goods and services that he or she produces. In order to do that, we need now to take our first look at what we call demand. First of all, the symbol triangle stands for delta and it means change. I use it a lot, so if you see a triangle, know that it means change. Demand is a schedule. Demand is a schedule that shows us the various amounts of a product that we will purchase at each price in a series of prices over time. It shows us that if the price of this particular product is $5, we will choose to purchase 10 units of that particular product. If the price of that particular product is $4, we will choose to purchase 4 units of that product. So therefore, the demand schedule is a grouping of numbers. The entire schedule is the grouping of numbers that shows us the amount of a good we will buy at each price in a series of prices over some time period. In order for us to get a better look or get a better idea of the impact on our price versus our quantity demanded, notated by Q sub D, stands for quantity demanded. The quantity demanded I have at that price. In order for us to do that, in order for us to analyze that, we're going to take a picture of it. The same picture as a graph, except in this one, what we have is, in this situation, we must put the quantity demanded on the horizontal axis, and we must put the price on the vertical axis. And all we're going to do, they meet at one common point called 0. If the price is $5, I'm going to go up to 5, and I'm going to come over and I realize that the quantity demand that I have at $5 is 10 units. So therefore I come over to 5, I come over to 10, and I plot a point. Do the same with the rest of these. At $4, I will purchase 20. Go up to 4, come over to 20. 3 is 35, 2 is 55, and 1 is 80. And if I simply join the points that I have a picture of my demand schedule. We call this a demand curve, notated by the capital D. My demand curve is downward sloping, meaning that it starts in Washington, the state of Washington, and ends in Florida. So it continually slopes downward. It slopes downward because of what we call the law of demand. The law of demand tells us that there is an inverse or a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Price and quantity demanded. In other words, what happens is that if the price of a product goes up, my quantity demanded will go down. If the price of the product goes down, my quantity demanded will go up. They work kind of in a seesaw fashion, all right? And this is the law of demand. This is the reason for the downward sloping curve. Now, there are 3 reasons for the downward sloping curve. Those reasons are, the first one is common sense. All of you have been doing economics all your life. You know that you would rather buy a lot of a product for a little bit of money than a little bit of a product for a lot of money. And therefore, this is, again, it's just common sense. The second one is called the law of diminishing marginal utility. That's a real long term, but if you break it down, it's really very easy. Diminishing means decreasing. Marginal always means extra. In this class, marginal will mean extra or the change or the addition to. We already know what utility is. We learned that from an earlier lecture. Utility refers to the degree of enjoyment, the degree of satisfaction, the reward that you get from imbibing in a particular good or service. So therefore, the law of diminishing utility states that decreasing extra happiness, as I get extra units of the same good, the degree of happiness that I get from that extra unit will go down. the extra happiness will go down. Extra meaning marginal. Basically, all that means is this. You're going to turn off the computer, you're going to finish watching me, and you're going to go down, somebody in your household bought a chocolate cake, or you went out last night and got a piece of chocolate cake. You're going to eat that first piece, and boy, it tastes real good. And you think, gee, I like that piece so much, I'm going to cut that second piece. And you cut the second piece. And although that second piece was good, it wasn't as satisfying as that first piece. And therefore, by the third piece, you just eat it because it's there. You're getting absolutely no extra happiness out of it at all. So therefore, in order to get you to buy more, I have to be able to lower my price. Because I know when I buy, if this product up here is corn, let's say, if I buy 10 ears of corn for $5, the producer says, why don't you buy more than that? I know how much happiness that those first 10 ears are going to give me. If you want me to buy the extra 10 ears or a total of 20 ears of, total ears of corn equaling 20, then you've got to do something with the price. Because I'm not going to spend this extra dollar on an extra 10 ears when I'm not going to get it. So therefore, in order to get you to buy more, they have to reduce the price because the happiness that you're going to be getting from that is not as high. And the last reason for the downward sloping curve, which is the law of demand, states is what we call income and substitution effect. If the price of a good goes up, if beef goes up relative to chicken, let's assume that they're both $2.50 a pound and you have $10 to spend on chicken and beef. You buy 2 pounds of chicken, 2 pounds of beef. Well, if beef all of a sudden goes up to $5 a pound, now you can't buy both goods in their totality any longer. So therefore, you have to substitute to the cheaper good. Or in the other case, if the price of a product goes down, your income actually has now been expanded. If the price of beef now, instead of being $2.50 a pound, goes down to 50 cents a pound, you can afford to buy more beef and more of everything else. So therefore, because of the income substitution effect, will tell us about the downward sloping curve, or actually all three of these reasons, the common sense, law of diminishing marginal utility, income substitution effect, give us verification of the downward sloping curve, which tells us of the law of demand, which states that there's an inverse or negative relationship between price and quantity, meaning that if price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. And all of that is simply a picture. A picture. That's all a graph is a picture of your demand schedule that tells us the amount of a good that we will purchase at each price in a series of prices over time.